You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who, deep in thought, nearly trip over pixies delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein.
Hello everyone, hi, welcome to our weekly Castle Falkenstein show. I am Simon at Wandering DM. We are in frames, and we're all playing with filters tonight. So that's awesome. Welcome everyone. Before we begin, I would just like to thank our sponsors for our show tonight, beginning with Maychen Press. They have 6 days left on their Kickstarter, Conspiracy in the Star, which is an introductory adventure to their Dark Matter campaign setting, a sci-fi fantasy setting for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So you might want to check that out. You can find the links at store.machenpress.com. I also would like to thank Found Familiar, a great coffee company. Check out Found Familiar with the panels below or the links in chat. And use code WanderingDM to get 10% off your purchases. Next is Roll20, the platform that we use for all of our games here on Wandering DM. Be sure to check them out at roll20.net if you want to play TTRPGs with your friends over remotely, I should say, on a virtual tabletop. And our specific sponsor for this show is Castle Falkenstein. Is Art Alsorian Games, the makers of Castle Falkenstein. The Castle Falkenstein. They also made The Witcher. They made Cyberpunk, Mechton. You can check them out at artalsoriangames.com or use the panels down below. And lastly, our partners through the Diceomancy program is, of course, Level Up Dice. If you want to get some shiny dice made out of stone, semi-precious stone, and whatnot, check out Level Up Dice using the purple torch below. That said, let's delve back into the world of Castle Falkenstein by introducing our actors and our characters for tonight's show. I am, of course, playing Edwin Thayer, the professor of criminology / gentleman thief. And I have with me a crew of exceptional players. We'll go around the overlay in a clockwise, and we'll begin with Adriana.
Hi everyone, my name is Adriana and I'll be playing Ekaterina von Stein, and we both use she/they pronouns.
Up next, we have Kenny.
Hello, I'm Kenny. My pronouns are he, they, and I play Jasser Firit Rogosian, whose pronouns are they, them.
Hi, I'm Pooja, and I play Elise St. Pierre, and both of our pronouns are she, her.
We'll skip over Chris for a second.
Oh, hey all, you know me. I'm Deirdre, or tonight I'm going to be the Contessa Lucrezia Sofia Fioravanti, and both of us use she, her pronouns.
And last but not least is the host for tonight. I forgot, but Edwin and myself use he, him pronouns. Chris, enough interruptions on my part. Why don't you take us away?
Thank you, Simon. My name is Chris Geary. I am the host of Adventures in Castle Falkenstein, and welcome to our 7th episode. We'll say, I don't know. Let's call this A Night to Remember. Last time on Adventures in Castle Falkenstein, we found ourselves opening with Edwin Thayer, thief extraordinaire, gentleman thief extraordinaire, in front of a very large, cargo crate style safe in the middle of an otherwise empty warehouse. There's a fog rolling out around his feet, cold to the touch, but not uncomfortably so. He can see silhouettes of boxes inside. And as the fog begins to settle, he makes his way through the stacks of would-be loot. All of these are crates, very carefully sealed. It would take some time and effort to break into any one of them. But at the back, something grabs his attention. It is a door with a lock, and he cannot resist. And behind that door is a laboratory. There are a number of fluids mixing, some already distilled. Not being what he trades in, our gentleman leaves. But before exiting completely, he notices a case that had been obscured by the door when he opened it originally. The lab door, that is. And behind it is this case. Tall, shallow, about 3 feet wide. And when he opens it, there are 7 gladiuses. I don't know. The Contessa told me how to pronounce that once. Each one frost-covered. He gathers them up and makes haste. All the while, the rest of the party makes their way to the Contessa's for a nightcap, some puzzling, conversations, and hopefully answers. What answers did they find, though? Were they answers to the puzzle of Rolst von Gribben? Were they insights to fires that can burn beneath water? Or were they answers to an unspoken question? That is what tonight shall reveal. As we closed the episode, Chasser was ascending the stairs. They had turned toward their doorway and noticed in their periphery Edwin Thayer. The hilt of a sword as it gets quickly moved inside, tossed maybe, before the gentleman disappears into the Contessa's room, and the door closes behind him. So we will open with Jacer, hand on the doorknob of your own room. What is your next action, shall we say?
So I think that Jesser, it's merely noteworthy that Edwin entered the Contessa's room with a sword. Because it wasn't menacing, right?
Oh, not at all. And you're pretty sure it got kind of like tossed to the side, and just body language, staging, all of that kind of the stagecraft pieces of you. You know that probably table, like a side table, that you didn't hear any clanging. Maybe a basket of some sort, something that deadened the sound, but it definitely wasn't launched or thrust or anything of that nature.
So I think, yeah, merely noteworthy, and Jacer would wait until the door closed and then would enter their own room.
Okay. Inside, we talked a little bit about how everyone else was winding down. But due to circumstances, we didn't get to find how our dear friend Jacer is taking in all of the different pieces that have, I don't know, vexed our actor a little bit, enough that they shared a piece of themselves with the party. A first, a name that even the Contessa had not known before. Where is their mind right now?
I think they're exhausted. I think they would probably go to the bureau, the desk, and sit down, open their journal, probably write of the day's events. And maybe on a separate piece of parchment, write a letter to their beloved.
And what sorts of message? We don't need to be word for word, but what sort of message does our star choose to scribe?
I believe they would thank them for the warning. And probably, well, I mean, most definitely say that they miss them, that they really miss them, and look forward to the day that maybe once they'll be reunited, if it were possible. Because I don't think they know that that's true or not, if they are able to be reunited.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Any other messages of any sort?
Not at this time.
Fair enough. Do you seal the letter or leave it to be sealed in the morning in case you wake with other ideas of what you may want to pen?
I think Jasser would seal it, and then have it open on the bureau, like just waiting there, because they're not even sure how they'll be able to send it off.
Okay. That's fair. And then do you take for the rest of the evening and turn in?
I believe so, after checking out the window again. I'm not they're not even sure what they're looking for, but they're just worried about being watched.
Okay.
I don't Oh, actually I do. I'll play perception is mental.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I have good perception.
Mm-hmm. So that's 12. And you said nothing really in particular, but just an overall kind of look.
Well, they're definitely looking to see if there's anyone, any person or any figure out of the window. Um, the Contessa's place is a little bit more secluded, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So they would just be kind of looking for a person because that would be out of place. I don't think Monty roams the grounds.
No. A person would definitely be out of place. Um, As you kind of watch, you'll see shadows kind of move as different lights change, whether it be clouds crossing the moon or lanterns on gondolas through the canals, fluctuations here, there, lights in the windows of other residences that choose to be put out as their caretakers, their residents inside. Call it a night.
After several moments of this tableau, I think Jasser would breathe heavily, change into their night clothes, and then go to bed.
As Jasser drifts off to sleep, there's a warm feeling, comfort of some sort, like a load has been lifted. And the fog of slumber rolls across their eyes. A familiar voice. Of a friend from beyond the veil says, "You poor, poor thing. Just look at you now. Good night." And we will
said it-
shift. Well, yes.
You said there was warmth. If Jasser remembers it, they'll think upon it after they wake.
Okay. It was one of those things that sometimes we hear as our bodies wind down and we fall into slumber. Sometimes they startle us, sometimes they simply are. So, if nothing else, we will shift. And there are a pair in a room looking for comfort, kind words, and respite. Ekaterina and Elise, how do the two of you wind down before you slumber?
So just to rewind, we had whiskey downstairs, right? Okay. I think Elise would call down for some sort of hot chocolate. And I think it would just be very reminiscent of more of younger, less troubled folks' slumber partied away. That it's very comforting. It's very like not pajamas, but I guess back the nightgowns and blankets and warmth and just physical comfort that comes from snuggling. I think, and I think just trying to forget the haunting image of fish scales falling out of her dead brother's eyes.
I haven't had a good hot cocoa in a long time. Or a slumber party. In a long time.
Sometimes a good cocoa does so much more for the soul than coffee does.
Yes, I find that in these moments, coffee does tend to make things a little bit worse.
There are times when you want to be wound up and times when you want to feel like you're sinking into your bed.
That's very true.
Say what you will about the Italians, they do know their way around chocolate and coffee, so there's really no losing.
It really is a win-win situation here. But how are you feeling?
I'll be okay tomorrow.
But right now?
I'm better with the whiskey in me, but still a little disconcerted. I've never had my magic go quite that awry. I mean, I've seen it happen and I could feel it slipping from me, but that's why I'm here, I suppose, to learn about magics stronger than mine and to make myself stronger. So I didn't expect to be thrown right into it quite like that, but here we are in the middle of a puzzle that's bigger than all of us, and somehow we all hold various keys to.
It's very true. You know, the bettering of oneself is always a interesting pursuit. You'll go trying to look for ways to better your magic, make yourself stronger, and you'll find new things about yourself along the way.
I sure hope so. It would be a shame if there were nothing left to discover at my age.
That's very true. Even at my age, there's always something new.
Maybe someday when we've had quite a little bit more whiskey to drink, you'll tell me about your age.
Maybe. How about this? Would you rather talk about what happened tonight, or would you rather talk about something that would distract you?
A distraction, please.
Well, I don't think we'll ever get our date in this anytime soon, but It's pretty ridiculous. I look pretty ridiculous in my nightgown and sunglasses.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but
I could see it in your face, don't worry.
oh, my acting skills are slipping.
I think it's the whiskey.
Oh, fair enough.
So she'll take off her round sunglasses and kind of like turn to put them on the night table and look at you. And it takes her a moment to look up to make eye contact, but you see very deep blue and purple eyes with black slits as pupils. It's almost like if you look into them long enough, it almost looked like galaxies.
Mhm. Well, we were talking about learning all sorts of new things. I guess we're starting tonight.
As far as distractions go, I figure this is a pretty big one,
Oh, yes, I have questions.
and I may have answers.
And, essentially, that's probably what's going to happen until they pass out. There's going to be a lot of questions about galaxy eyes and what all of that means.
Excellent. I have a question, Elise.
Mhm.
Growing up in the American South, or American Southeast, however you wish to phrase it, what sort of cultural influences, other than her coven, would have been something that was heavily impressed upon her?
The concept of Southern hospitality and the importance of appearances.
Okay.
And that kind of came from both sides, I think.
Mhm.
Not only did her parents, who were lovely folks, always encourage internal things to be kept internal, but the coven, for their own reasons, encouraged the same thing. So in that way, acting was sort of a natural extension of
Mhm.
the type of prevaricating she's been doing her whole life.
Okay. Was there anything else that her parents encouraged?
Her parents did encourage her art, especially.
Mhm.
And once when her brother passed, there was some guilt, and for that reason, I think Elise was offered more freedom than girls in her situation ordinarily might at that time.
Mhm.
But they knew she had a love for her art. They knew she was talented at it, and which is why when they eventually moved to Paris, they encouraged her to come learn and join the opera there.
Mhm.
But she ended up going to Venice instead because of it just seemed more interesting to her. But in that way, she has had a lot of support from her parents that one might not expect for a woman of her social background.
Okay. Excellent. And so outside of the theater, what were the main thing and the coven? What were her main ways of connecting with the society of, did you say Mississippi?
I cannot remember if it was Alabama or Mississippi. One of the two. You can just pick one. Let's go with Mississippi. It was very much house social calls. You know, there was a community. It was your standard. There were dances and gatherings and, you know, debutante season that took up a lot of time and preparations for that and arranging of that. And I guess in Falkenstein world, she's from the United States of America.
Mhm.
No, you know what? She's from West Virginia because she had to be from the United States of America, which was the 13 colonies. So, or she's from Virginia, which will become West Virginia. She's from the
Okay.
Virginia area, but still, all the same applies in terms of Southern lifestyle.
Mhm.
And she There, it was a society that is very involved socially, and between the coven and society obligations in terms of community, whether it's party throwing, party attending, sponsoring things, sewing uniforms for the soldiers.
Gotcha.
Lots of things to keep your hands busy, but not perhaps the mind as much.
Excellent. And as the two of you drift off, another comfortable warmth kind of wraps around the both of you. And slumber comes. In another part of the hall, with a door that seemed a little hastily closed, or maybe just purposefully so, depending on which hand had control, we have our other two party members saying their goodnights in one way, shape, or form.
Well, good night.
You brought a sword that you haven't read the words on it yet?
No, if you remember correctly, there is no sword anymore. I just brought myself to your door.
It's still here and still in this room, so...
It's a gift. Like I said, a present. For your hospitality.
My hospitality. Is that what we're calling it?
How else would you call me staying under your roof then?
That's true. Hospitality works. Guest rights. Fancy terminology, but very useful. But are you a guest? Or are you a guest?
I guess I'm a guest. I mean, that all depends on the host, doesn't it?
That is true. I do like to make sure that my guests are well taken care of. Entertained, as it were.
Well, what does the Fioravanti estate offer as entertainment?
The Fioravanti estate or my home? Because those are two very different things, signore.
I thought your last name was Fioravanti.
Yes, but that is my father's estate, and this is mine.
Oh. Well, then what sort of entertainment does Casa de Contessa has to offer?
I don't know. What do you enjoy doing? Parcheesi, charades, whist?
Out of game, what's the last one?
Whist?
Yeah.
It's a card game for 4 people that's similar to like a poker, sort of. It's a gambling game, but you need multiple people.
Oh, I am... You'll find that I am not much of a gambler, Contessa. I would rather know the odds and be prepared. I make my own luck, if such is the case.
So if you are prepared, Then what are you prepared for tonight?
Probably not sleeping a whole lot.
Well, I do like a challenge. If you're up to it.
I don't know what to answer to that. Like, normally that would be the moment when, like, Thayer closes the door behind them.
Yeah.
But also, I'm in someone else's home. Like, I'm not just gonna invite myself in her room.
Well, you're
But
already
you're
inside,
in
and
the room. She
you're
pulled you
already in
and
the
closed
room.
door.
Oh, I thought I was
Yeah.
still, like,
No.
in the doorway.
No, when
Oh.
when the Contessa first confronted you about, you know, not being 100%, you know, the sword being a nice touch, but you're lying about something. She closed the door because she didn't want to have people overhear her. But at that point, she turned around and like start walking away from you, and then kind of like glance over the back of her shoulder, and well, are you going to help me? These knots are very difficult.
And the door slams shut.
We fade to black. I'm not innuendo. And in the morning, this time, who is the first to rise?
I don't know. I think the Contessa has like her schedule down, so she is always wakes up at the same time. But I don't know if that's like, and because it takes time and effort to be as stylish as she is.
I believe last time, was it Josser who was up first?
It was most definitely Josser who's up first. This time, if they had the warm dream, I think they would have reveled in it and stayed in bed.
Okay. And while they are figuring out amongst themselves who is the first to rise on this lazy morning, I want to take a moment to thank Hawkeye for the generous donation earlier. That's another round of Deuces Wild that will keep them with a bonus of +2 to use. So thank you for your kind donation and generosity. It will be used So who will be the first to greet Monty? And breakfast.
I think it's not going to be early, but eventually I think hunger will get Elise out of bed in the morning. But like I said, it won't be early because even when she's up, it'll take time to get dressed and get, to get put together for the day. But maybe she and Ekaterina are the ones who get down first. If everyone
Ekaterina
else
would have helped her get ready, so it would have been like.
Oh yeah, Ekaterina has the magic of pants, which Elise doesn't get to share. So she'll be done.
That's a decision that you make, dear. I'm willing to lend you one of my pantsies, should you wish.
You do make a compelling argument, I will say that.
They're very comfortable and not as intrusive and
fair, but I would wager that I could hide a great deal more in my skirts.
Are you hiding something in your skirts, dear?
What would be the fun in telling? Once Ekaterina helps Elise dress, they will head down to meet with Monty and the I guess empty to their surprise dining
Mhm.
table because they had no idea what went down last night.
I guess everybody had a busy night.
Well,
So
everybody
as-
was exhausted.
As
Sure.
you wake and make your way downstairs, you'll be greeted in the dining room by Monty and one of the staff as they are laying out breakfast. Good morning. So, what would you like to drink this morning?
Just coffee for me.
A coffee
Coffee,
would be great.
yes.
And if you have any sort of fruit juice, that would also be lovely.
And he just kind of, as you speak to each of those coffee, you see him nod to the other staff member. Coffee, nods. Fruit juice, nods. And you'll see that she's poured one cup of coffee. Then the third nod comes about and she's pouring the second. And then she wanders off with the coffee pot and returns shortly with juice.
Why, thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Your food is laid out. Feel free to eat whatever is appetizing.
At least certainly will.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling this morning, nice dear?
Better, as I had expected I would. Usually feel better the day after big magic.
Mm,
It drains you a bit, but sleep
yes.
helps. Feeling good sleep, sound sleep helps.
Mm-hmm.
And I did certainly sleep very soundly, but it seems so did the rest of our friends.
Oh, yes. I have a few ideas as to why.
Well, given that there's 3 of them up there, you will have to share.
Oh, well, not all of them, but I don't know if you've noticed that the contest is a little bit keen and curious about the professor. And the
Of
professor
course.
tries to pretend he doesn't know how to flirt or how to deal with people or women, but
Sometimes being clueless or playing clueless have their own charms.
mm, see, I think everyone here is a puzzle. The one we're closest to figuring out is our dear friend Amore, for they have been honest.
That's true. But it's been 2, 3 days. It's been 2 days.
Has it only been 2 days? Oh dear. It feels like a whole year. So many
Uh,
puzzles.
I expect we'll be finding out secrets about each other for a long time to come.
Yes. Well, I'm more than happy to keep finding out new things about you, dear.
Well, I hope I never stop surprising you.
Mm. I don't think you will.
This is, I guess, day 3
Mm-hmm.
because we had the play day yesterday and now today.
Mm-hmm. Day 3.
Second breakfast.
Second breakfast.
Th-
yes.
This is a shock and an awe.
This
and
is
a
momentous
milestone.
because we're just we made it half a season on only 2 days instead of a full season on only 2 days. So
Yeah,
day 3 begins the second half of the
there you
season.
go. I think they'll just chat and eat.
Mm-hmm. She'll
Wait
help
to
her
see
get
if-
her breakfast and all that and be all gentlemanly.
Does Ekaterina eat?
Yeah.
Just checking.
She's hungry.
And as a bit of time passes, The Contessa would have gotten ready and come down not too much after the two of you had started breakfast. For
Yeah, and
she
she
has a
just kind
schedule
of-
to keep.
She just flounces in the room, looking very stylish. Like different dress, but still in her aesthetic of black on black. And so, how was your evening?
It was comfortable.
I'm
Your
glad
hospitality certainly helped.
I am so glad to hear that.
How was your evening, Contessa?
Pretty good.
Just pretty good.
Just pretty
mean-
good.
Well, to be fair, the later half of the evening was quite enjoyable. It was a little bit of fun, but the heirloom, I'm very intrigued by, but we haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, I thought that's what he went to show you later that night, is his heirloom.
I mean, there were swords and then there were swords.
She looks silly. Told you.
What? You can usually learn a lot about the gentleman by the weapon that he carries.
I'd expect so. And what would you, if you would care to share, did you learn from this sword?
Or the weapon this gentleman seemed to have been carrying.
Or that?
That he is not anywhere near as oblivious as he tries to pretend, and that if he was just a professor, he would not have anywhere near the musculature that he does, or the calluses on his hands.
Ah.
Mysteries indeed.
Told you everyone here's a puzzle.
You were absolutely right. That's what we were discussing this morning at breakfast, is how every person in our little coterie seems to be full of endless fascinations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would you want to know everything about everyone right away? Sometimes you have
Oh,
to work
I
your way up to
wouldn't.
it.
Oh no.
But I do like knowing things. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And
I think-
that's the challenge. You want to know things, but you don't want to know too many things, at least at once.
Oh, I want to know all the things, to be quite honest.
At once?
And you
Sure,
don't
why
know
not?
as many as I
It's-
can get in the beginning.
Yeah, fair. I think I
And-
like to work for it.
All right, then whatever I told you last night is what I will tell you. The only thing I would tell you for a few days. I don't know how this works.
I think we can figure it out. Or I'll work for it.
You two are so adorable.
Well,
I do wink at you, but I have sunglasses on.
I mean, you are Ekaterina. You can take them
I
off
am
inside.
Ekaterina, yes.
You can take them off inside, you know, right?
I know.
Okay.
But then, see, I already showed Elise what was behind my sunglasses last night. Then it would be as special if I just took them out now and showed you.
Okay, that's fair if you want to be special. And she just kind of glances.
How about Contessa? If you offer me something that I can't. If you offer me something that I really, really want, I'll show you what's behind my sunglasses.
it's worth it. At least just keeps drinking her juice.
And I think the Contessa just kind of like has a hand out towards Monty, fully expecting at this point that her coffee is in her, you know, her cappuccino has appeared.
Oh, of course.
Because, you know, she has a schedule. And then she like kind of takes it and sort of sips it and goes, "No, I like you keeping your secrets as you choose to reveal them on such things. You're not
I
plotting
like
any
to.
world domination.
I like to bribe people to reveal my secrets.
Bribery usually works with a lot of people.
Yes.
I mean, it works a lot with, you would be surprised at the number of men that it works with.
And women.
True. It is fun, though,
Yes.
sometimes.
But I do like to give an equal exchange for my secrets. Secrets for secrets.
So, secrets for secrets. How about we play a little bit of, do we honestly think that this is the good Professore's family heirloom? As she lays the gladius on the middle of the table, because she kind of like had it in her skirts.
Oh.
Is just looking at it.
What is the name on it?
Oh yeah, I have the quote written down.
It's just one word with other sigils around it, but in Latin it is the word Philippi.
Philippi.
Okay.
Actually, the name Philippi.
Would I know
The
what
name.
the sigils are, or are the sigils the...
The sigils are actually arcane, yes.
Arcane sigils?
Oh, I was gonna say, do I get any sort
All
of...
three of you at the table would basically recognize them without study, because they are not of any of the practices that the three of you are familiar with.
Mhm.
The Contessa being more familiar in general, Elise being much more specialized in the magics in which she is aware and uses, and Ekaterina more a collector of informations. They would not readily just kind of pop and go, oh, hey, I've seen that before. But with some study, I'm sure amongst the three of you, you would have some sort of insights.
But I mean,
These aren't sigils of the sort I have encountered in my practice of magic. But perhaps if we found a good reference book, something could be done.
I don't see what doesn't add up is that our dear professor has no knowledge of arcane magic. If this is an heirloom, you'd think he would. You think his family would practice some sort of magic and he would know some things.
Well, as to the Contessa's question, my answer would be no. I do not believe that this is a family heirloom.
I mean, see, I'm glad we agree.
There'd be so many questions to start. Well, I'd start with, why would the professor bring a family heirloom to Venice?
True.
Does the professor seem of the type to use a sword like this?
No.
Or carry it around him from a day-to-day basis?
Oh, and then my next question is, there are two stages of Philippi, right? Philippi can mean, particularly in a Latin context, there's Philippi and the unfortunate problems that, Marcus Brutus and Cassius had at Philippi.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Philippi as it is in the New Testament. So, which Philippi are we talking about? Well, I mean, it's the same city. It's in Greece, but...
But is this something we can even begin to figure out without the professor being honest with us?
I don't know.
Would there be a purpose to figuring it out without the professor being honest to us?
Well, if this isn't his, then where did he get it from?
You could just ask.
I think we should. I mean, it's going to be fun, right?
Of course.
Oh yes, 3 people hounding the professor about his heirloom right in the morning as he wakes up. This will be so much fun.
I will say he had very nimble fingers.
I dare say the Contessa might be the best equipped to put the professor at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, am I putting people at disadvantage again? I didn't wear the right dress for that. Oh well.
Just pop them out a little bit, you'll be fine.
Speaking of the professor, do you think we'll be expecting him down anytime soon?
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Professor. We were just
I hope you
admiring
had-
your family heirloom.
I hope you had a wonderful night.
Oh. It was okay.
Katerina just
Oh.
looks to the Contessa.
Just okay. What a shame.
I
Quite an
mean,
insult.
He looks to the Contessa probably a tad too long. Well, if you're all aware, then yes, my night went very well.
so we've been taking bets on about exactly how long it'll take. And she kind of like turns and looks you dead in the eye, and she kind of just sips the coffee and sets it down in front of her. For you to share where you got my wonderful new present.
Oh. It's a family heirloom. Passed
Whose
down
family?
from generation
I
to
told
generation.
you he wouldn't tell us.
Whose family indeed?
It's not your family, though.
What makes you say that?
Professor, please. Do we really want to go through this? I think it'll not be in your favor.
I would also like to point out, Signore, the bumbling Professore looks very, very good. Until you take the shirt off and that musculature and upper arm strength really doesn't go with it.
Mm.
I like to keep fit.
You also like to pick locks or stab people. I couldn't quite tell based on the calluses on your hands.
Nimble fingers.
Very nimble fingers.
I tinker.
Oh,
Is what
do
I
you?
do in my free time. Yes, indeed.
Oh. See, I didn't quite get that too much from our conversations.
It is a hobby of mine, I have to admit. We didn't really have time, Katerina, to sit down and talk. Well, aside from the plans that you've showed me the other day. But yes, tinkering and building contraptions out of steel, copper, and other metals is something of a passion project of mine. And I fear that this is where the calluses come from. The blowtorch and the countless hours spent bending and twisting metal.
Professor, if this is indeed a family heirloom, as you suggest, perhaps you could enlighten us as to the tale behind the name.
Oh, you
You
mean
do know what
Philippi?
it says.
Yes, we were intrigued by which version of Philippi it could be referring to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure an heirloom such as this comes with a great story passed down through the generations. So
Indeed, let just the player look up Philippi to try to bullshit something. Because Thayer is good at bullshitting. Simon, not that good.
Well, also, what's the bullshit detector skill?
Yeah.
Isn't that it's like empathy or something. It's
empathy isn't a thingy here.
perception. There's perception.
I mean, you're talking to a great performer here, sir.
Well, he would go on to explain how the sword originally was handed down to a Roman soldier who distinguished themselves in battle. And the blade itself was crafted in the city of Philippi, in Greece.
And is your family an arcane family?
Not anymore. Just like every other family, we all have our secrets.
Did they pass down any information as to the meaning of these sigils?
I'm afraid not.
It seems rather strange for a family heirloom.
I think you'd want to keep the history alive in the family and to give such something with arcane sigils to someone who does know nothing, doesn't know anything about the arcane.
So, which side of that little altercation did your family fight on? That soldier that had this.
Oh, if I remember what my grandma told me, that would be he was fighting on the side of the Romans.
And she just kind of leans over a little bit and just looks at you and goes, yes, Romans. So would those be the Romans under the command of Mark Antony and Octavian, or the Romans under the command of Marcus Brutus and Cassius? Because, you know, civil war and all.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, it was before. It was during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the side of who the fuck won? Just give me who the fuck won that battle. I think it's he was on the side of Cassius Longinus.
Oh. So he died gruesomely and was sacrificed, or did he, you know, surrender himself to Octavian and Mark Antony afterwards? And
I was going to say that was a really brutal battle indeed, at least from the accounts I've been told.
Yes, and for his deeds, even though the city fell, he was awarded posthumously a gladius. It was transferred to his next of kin, and then handed down
Professore?
generations.
And
Have
you
you
tend to
studied-
carry precious heirlooms around the continent.
Professor, did you actually take Roman history ever?
Why would the
Simon
opposing
did
side... Contessa, would there be a reason why the opposing side would honor...
Okay. So this is where the Contessa actually does break down laughing, because, sorry, Simon, this is where the Contessa would be like, the Battle of Philippi is the battle at which the assassins of Julius Caesar attempted to make a stand against the joint armies of the second triumvirate of Octavian, who will become Augustus, Mark Antony, and oh God, what's his name? It doesn't matter. He's not important. He really isn't. Octavian. It's about Octavian and Mark Antony at the end. But it's a Roman civil war, civil battle that happens outside the gates of the city over 3 days. It determines that Mark Antony and Octavian basically win, and Brutus and Cassius and everyone who supported them either ends up very, very dead, or swearing their allegiance eternally to Octavian. Sort of. But it would be like, did you not take this class in university?
Why?
Ever?
Why are you so interested in an old sword, anyway?
I'm very interested in the magic it carries, and also interested in where you got it.
Yeah, very interesting why you call it a family heirloom when it's not a family heirloom.
Oh,
I'm mostly interested in the sigils.
do believe it's a family thing.
But not your family.
No, not my family.
Oh, we're starting to unravel some things.
Wait, who had 20 minutes?
Apologies, Professor. You missed the entire conversation where we talked about how everyone here has a puzzle, and some are incredibly eager to solve these puzzles as soon as possible.
I like puzzles. I like taking things apart and putting them back together.
I like knowing things.
I don't think anyone means any harm by it.
Oh no, I'm just very curious as to the way you live your life.
The professor would excuse himself from the kitchen or dining room, wherever we are, and come back down with the 6 other swords.
Oh! There's
Well, now
6
we
other
have a
family
party.
heirlooms.
I think
So-
it'd be at that time that Jose would join in.
Oh,
Amor,
Fingers
look at
welcome to
this.
the party.
Amor,
I think it would be
How
fair that Jose kind of met the professor and kind of helped him carry them down so they didn't clatter and clang all.
That would probably be wise.
I think meeting in the hallway, you're fumbling with a couple of them. I'd be like, you had more than one?
Oh, yes, it's a quite complicated story, but apparently, one sword is never enough.
That's very true. And then we'll offer to carry some of them.
That's a lot of swords, Professor. Are
Are
they all
they-
family heirlooms?
Do they all have sigils on them?
Do they have different names? Or is it the same name? Interesting. Come on, let's see.
But since you're all interested, here's a sword for you, a sword for you, a sword for you. Morty, do you want a sword? There's plenty to go around.
Over. You mean Monty?
Monty. Let's say
Or
Morty.
is there
Rick and
someone else
Morty
here
is
too?
Morty. Where did he show up
Hey,
from?
hey, Morty, do you want a sword?
no, no, no.
No, I can't do his voice. But yeah, swords for everyone.
And where do you plan on beginning?
What does mine
Laying-
say?
Yeah, laying them out and comparing what they, seeing if they all have names and if they have
Different names.
The
different
sigils.
sigils.
And other differences you can tell by studying them.
Okay, so you're just going to lay them all out on the table?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll see 2 of the staff and Monty actually clearing the table before you actually place anything
Thank you,
on
Monty.
it,
You're wonderful.
to make enough space. And you lay out all 7 of the swords. You will find each of them has a different name inscribed upon them. Well, I shouldn't say each of them. 2 of them have very similar names. The rest have distinctly different names inscribed upon them. Some of the sigils repeat, but not all of them repeat in the same place. Not all of them repeat consistently across the 7. There's only one that repeats across all 7. What do you want to start with?
what are the names, and then we'll break down the sigils because I figure the names
Yeah.
are really easy to,
Mm-hmm.
or
Okay.
like the most
So-
obvious, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So as you go across, you will find Rome as one of them. You will find, let's see what else we have here. Corinth, or some variation of Corinth, twice. You will find, let's see here, Galatia or Galatea, and Philippi, which you've already seen. Thessalonica. And the last but not least is Colossae.
La Contessa starts moving them around in order.
Okay. In what order?
Roma, Corinthians, Galatians. Skips a space, leaves it for Philippians, Colossians, and Thessalonians. Because there's one missing. There would be one missing. Because there isn't one for Ephesians, correct?
There's not one for Ephesians, no. And then you'd have Philippi and then Thessalonica.
Yeah, Thessalonians.
And then what do you do with Colossae? Or Colossae?
Romans? The two Corinthians.
Mm-hmm.
Galatians. Leaves a space for Ephesians.
Mm-hmm.
Philippian.
Mm-hmm.
The Colossians. And then the Thessalonians.
Mm.
And Tessa, what is this order that you're putting these swords in?
The books of the New Testament.
Is there missing one though?
I don't speak Bible, sorry.
Other question. Are these listed in Latin or in Greek?
They are in Latin.
Ooh, very interesting. Yeah, it's...
Which matches the sword style.
Yeah. They're...
Oh, and the version of Rome is the version of that is used when referring to it as the Vatican.
Yeah.
So when they refer to Rome as the seat of the church rather than Rome, the city.
Yeah.
What would be the same sigil? Like, would I know the meaning behind the sigil?
You can,
Well, you can take a look at
yeah, I
it.
wanted to take basically like a pencil or charcoal rubbing of the sigils so that we have a copy of them all. And pay special attention to the repeating one.
Okay.
Same Z.
So you want to do some sort of a rubbing of each of the sigils, correct? And what are you going to use for that?
I will ask the Contessa. Contessa, do you think Monty might be able to procure some paper and charcoal?
And she just kind of turns and looks at Monty like...
I figure there's art supplies in this house.
I know that there's a charcoal pencil, and I'm quite sure. Well, never mind. Monty, if you take in the second drawer on the of the nightstand in the dressing room of the one with the pink set, it has a full nice set there. Charcoal pencils, very nice small rice paper, very thin, works very well for rubbings and etchings.
Ah, yes. The room.
Actually, could you just bring the full kit down?
Sure. I would be happy to. And he leaves. And then, so Ekaterina is studying specifically one sigil, the repeating sigil. What are you using anything in particular to try and discern that?
Would I be able to use either sorcery? Yeah, I have sorcery, which is good. And I believe I could play a card for it. What is sorcery?
Well, there is a slight barrier against you, so I highly recommend.
Diamonds. Girl's best friend. If I get to look at my cards. Okay. I have a 4 of diamonds.
think you should have a 7 or
Do
several
we have a
7s.
7?
You do have some lucky 7s as well.
I will use a lucky 7.
So you're going to replace the 4 with a lucky 7
Yes.
instead? Okay,
Yes,
that is
please,
fine.
Thank you. I don't know how to put
So-
it back into my
That's well. You can. You should be able to right click on it.
Take card,
and
yeah.
Take card. There you
Thank you.
go. Okay, so that gives you a 13. Anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Do I
Um,
have...
After I do the rubbing, I would like to help.
But we have to get through that piece first.
Yeah. So
we don't have any Deuces Wilds, right?
Did you use yours at the end of last game?
I used
They'll
mine
refresh
at
at
the
the break.
beginning. I don't think I used it at the end, though.
And you still have one.
Can I add that on top?
Sure.
Yes, I'll do
So
that.
that's a 15.
Yes.
Excellent. So we have a 15 for discerning the repeating sigil. And Monty returns with the kit. And we will have Elise making rubbings of the sigils. The Contessa is kind of organizing things at this point. Is there anything else that the Contessa is doing?
I believe Contessa will be right back.
Oh, sorry. Then let's move on to Jasser. They have been quiet. I'm assuming they've been getting a little bit of coffee and maybe some food while they're watching the spectacle unfold.
Yeah, they're taking it all in, and at the mention of the biblical names, can I play a performance card to see if they can link the idea of swords to the Bible, New Testament?
Okay. And I'm sorry, which performance?
Mhm.
Okay. That is an excellent question. Let me see. I'm wondering if there is anything that would be from that time period.
If not, it's totally fine. I don't mind burning the card.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Let me ponder that. So what's the base performance?
Great.
Okay. So that's an 8. So that's an 18. Any other numbers you want to add to that? Or just with the 18?
Just the 18 right now.
That's perfectly fine. All right. We will come back to that as I ponder. That is an excellent question, and I like where you're headed with that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off the table. And dear Professor, as they are fiddling with your swords, sir, what are you up to? Oops.
Solving tech issues. But the professor would look at them, look at the swords, and he's very nervous. He tries not to show it, but like he's never told anyone. Like he didn't come clean completely, but it's still the closest, the most he's opened up to someone. And he doesn't feel at ease. So he's probably just, staring into his coffee a bit longer than usual, then looking at what everyone, like pretending to be interested at what everyone is doing. but waiting for the inevitable, like, we're gonna turn you in speech.
The good professore would have noticed when the kit came down as the Contessa starts opening it up to hand things out. He might have been professionally curious at the level of stuff coming out of this, what looks like a very nice makeup case, with tears that swing out, a little mirror on the back, rice paper, charcoal sticks, very, very fine powder, a couple tweezers, some other accoutrement that with which one might possibly liberate information and or take it from somebody's own, a little bit of a small lighter, wax, a very fine blade, which you could slide underneath this piece of wax seal to then reseal it. If you were a professional, you would recognize that these are might be an interesting question for the professor if he's paying attention.
Tools the trade.
He probably saw it, but right now he's still
Worried.
a little bit too worried. Like, it's interesting, but we're gonna wait to see if I get thrown in jail or not. Like, is this the end of the world's best thief?
Meanwhile, they're just nerding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like he doesn't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's like he's just stuck in his head, so he's not really listening much.
And the Contessa would turn to one of the, turn to Monty and say, could you bring me both the Greek copy and the Latin copy of the Bible? I know we have at least two in the library.
Of course.
They might have different wording.
I don't understand
And
why I'm
so-
shocked that all this in Venice has to do with the church and the Bible and all that. Phooey. No offense, Contessa.
Well, but all of this, do you think these swords have anything to do with what we've been looking for?
Oh, it depends. Professor, where did you get the swords? Did you find them? Did you buy them? Did you steal them?
Let's rephrase that. Who did you steal them from?
He could
Because
have
no
bought
knight-
them.
Madam, I am shocked.
Yes, I'm sure we all are.
But honestly, do we care about the method of acquisition?
No, not really. I mean, did you
But
leave
it
a dead body behind?
depends. It depends. I'm just saying. If
The source matters for sure.
The source matters, so.
But the method,
that's
not so much.
I
They could
do
be
not
gifted for
care.
all we. Let's just. I shall do you the courtesy of assuming they
Are-
were gifted to you, sir.
Are you taking rubbings while you're having this conversation, or is this in place of taking those
Oh.
rubbings?
I think the rubbings are happening too. Now that
Yeah.
the tools of the trade are here.
Okay. And
You'll follow the
Is
Contessa's.
there a particular skill that you're going to apply? Not that there has to be. I'm just asking.
Let me see. Well, given that they're arcane sources, the reason she wants the rubbings is for the study of sorcery, given that she comes from a grimoire based coven and magical writings are her bread and butter, so to speak, and how she learns and passes down knowledge. So I was going to do it as part of sorcery, but if you think that it's more, I mean, it's, I don't know what else it could be. Craftsmanship.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I mean, she's not creating anything though, right?
I mean, it depends on if you consider this an artistic task.
No,
But it
no,
would
this
be
is
craftsmanship,
definitely much more a rote task. That
Okay, then
yeah.
sorcery would be fine because you know what you're looking to try and make sure that you retain
Yes.
for study later.
So I do not have a diamond in my hand, but I have 3 7s I can use.
So you're going to use a 7?
I am going to use one of my 7s.
Mm-hmm.
And my sorcery is great.
So that's a 15.
And I'm pretty sure I used my deuces last time to do the spell casting, so I don't think I
Yes.
have that.
Okay.
So I think that's all I have.
Okay. And that's going to be for the rubbings. And then I'm assuming the Contessa is going to focus on the translation.
The Contessa's muted.
Is muted. Great. The Contessa does focus on the translation, and she's looking at different wordings. But she also turns to the professor and says, "I don't really care how you achieve them. I just need to know if we have to clean up a dead body, because those are, planning for such things is important."
Don't burn them. It takes a long time for dead bodies to burn.
I'm appalled that you think I would stoop so low as a common thug and murder people.
Murder is not common. It takes skill and effort to do right. I'm just making sure we don't have to clean up afterwards.
I do not kill.
But do you steal?
So we don't have to worry about the body. There we go. That's easy.
Ekaterina's just staring at the professor as she asks this question.
Are you applying a skill to your translation?
I think. Hold on a sec. I think it would have to be.
It would have to be, I would assume, education.
It would have to be assumed education. And
Yeah.
I'm going to burn one of my 7s because I still have 2.
Okay.
And her education is good, plus 7, and that's
So 13.
Yeah.
Do you have a +2 left? Because we're
No, because I used my +2 in the last time the professor and the Contessa
yes.
had that square off.
Yes.
About whether or not he was lying.
Yep, I remember now. So that's going to be for translation. Excellent. And so, as all of this is happening, and the lovely conversation that's going on in between as they kind of rib the professor.
And then there's the kind of half glance to make sure that just Amour's here and like kind of turns and offers him a fruit plate. It's like, you look hungry. Would you like to eat something?
Amour's just like, I'm happy to be here.
I mean, I think seeing the professor's bashfulness and reluctance to cop to anything, I think Amour would kind of lean over and be like, "Professor, I have 3 names. You are among friends."
Mm-hmm. If it makes you feel any better, I've stolen many things. Both on purpose and not on purpose.
I tend to occasionally liberate things from places.
Professor, you're so smart.
And as Elise continues to take rubbings, there's a hint of dimming to the light in the room. And everyone can hear these words. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice. Who art thou? Arise, go, it shall be told thee what thou must do. Behold, I am here, and hath seen a vision, authority, to bind all that call on the Holy Ghost. And immediately there fell from his eyes scales, and he arose. And we will go to break.
Well then.
Okay. Scales.
Katrina just looks at Elise.
That's gonna be interesting.
Uh-huh.
So, we'll be back in a few minutes. Take some time to go grab a beverage of choice and stretch your legs and all that. And we'll be coming back soon.
You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deepen thought, nearly trip over pixies, delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein. You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deepen thought, nearly trip over pixies, delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein. You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deep in thought nearly trip over pixies delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein. You have been cordially invited to a world of wonder and intrigue, of steam and invention, of magic and mysteries, where nobles wave playbills at scientists who deep in thought nearly trip over pixies delivering news to tinkerers beneath the stage of New Europa. Sit back and enjoy the scene as the actors act, the singers sing, and the players play out the adventures of Castle Falkenstein.
Hello, we are back. And it is time to spin the wheel. I was supposed to know how to spin it. Oh shit, that's true. That's because it doesn't work that way. It's gonna take a second. It logged me out. Come on, Streamlabs. Load faster. There we go. All right. Spinning wheel. Our first revelation goes to Elise.
Woo!
So, Elise, you've got your first revelation. We'll roll for the other one right away. And then I'll update the overlay over the course of the game. But spinning the wheel a second time. Edwin! I did it! I get one. So, if you want to start with Elise, Chris, I will be right back.
Sure, and thank you for the new follow as well. So, as those words kind of echo through, Elise, what part of one's past, or maybe something that is lesser known about your character, that might make its way into the consciousness of our wonderful audience through a revelation?
Ooh, this one's As Elise moves her hands through the rubbings and picks her way through the Contessa's kit, you notice that she isn't unfamiliar with what she's doing. Elise, not known to the folks around her, Elise's coven has had a hand in quite a bit of political intrigue in their own time, not in the sense that they have ever wanted to control things in the United States, but more that they wanted to make sure that they had witches and connections to places of powers to protect their interests.
Okay.
Her first love and best friend from childhood, for example, was married off to a senator to keep and basically to collect information from the coven. And so it hasn't been just a practice magic for the sake of magic. It's also practice magic, but also adapt with the times so where we don't end up with a Salem on our hands again.
Okay.
And so essentially she is the thieving skill the skill I associate most with thieving is stealth.
Mm-hmm.
So the Contessa will have to tell her whether or not she's as nimble-fingered as Professor Thayer. However, she is quite nimble-fingered.
Ah. I like it. So, certain habits find themselves shifting from, well, habit to practiced skill, as we go from average to good with stealth. And Professor Thayer, what say you in this moment of inquiry, this emotional crossroads where you find yourself more vulnerable than you may normally wish to be?
Yeah.
What comes to mind? What do you wish to share with our audience as you move a skill from good, or I'm not good, from average to good?
Well, right now, I think I would need to level up perception because I can't read the handout. So, give me 2 seconds. Because honestly, out of character, to give you a brief history of Thayer, I made sure that I had like a few skills for divine revelations and everything that would like neatly fit into the persona. And I've reached the quota. So now I have to take something that I don't know how well it'll fit.
Well, use the inspiration of what's happening right now. You're at a crossroads anyways, a new unexplored territory, never been placed in a position where you've had to worry about whether or not your secret will be kept. What might that do to someone like Professor Thayer? What might it bring out in such a man?
I'm gonna go for etherealness, and I'm gonna disappear.
Sorry, you're not a fae. Nice try, though. Etherealness and glamour are only for fae.
What was physique again?
Physique is your physical health.
Then I will go with physique. just going with what the Contessa talked about this morning and what probably happened last night.
So downplaying it until now his secret is out.
Yeah, now
Can
that
no
the secret
longer
is out.
hide
Yeah, he
that
rips open
six-pack.
his shirt, shows his glistening muscles.
Do the abs gain advantage?
We clap
Or
for the
grant
45
advantage.
abs.
The abs do actually. I would say the come on. We all know the abs grant advantage.
It's true. It's true.
Oh,
Can you
wait.
use the abs as distraction?
I mean, I
That was a
have
different game.
I have the skills to. Ooh, wait. Would that be physique or would that be comeliness?
Comeliness is how attractive you are.
Yeah. So physique is literally your physical body. Comeliness is your attractiveness.
You know what? I'm gonna go with comeliness.
Oh, okay. So still wiry, but
Well,
prettier.
yeah.
I want to know how you got hotter.
So, confidence.
Yeah, there it is.
That's all there is to it. So now that the secret is out, and he made a certain connection with the Contessa, and he feels like he's a little more at ease, like his shoulders begin to square up a bit, his back straighten, and his posture is a little more I don't want to say aggressive, but it's a little more impressive. Like it commands a little bit more attention. And as everyone, sometimes turn around to look at the professor, how he's doing, they can't help but notice the small streak of gray hair in his otherwise dark brown hair, his well-trimmed beard, and apparently underneath his shirt, his massive pecs.
I don't know about massive.
They
His physique's average.
people can't help but think that he's kind of a
all
good-looking
right.
silver fox. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
so I'll go with that just for fun.
I love it. So, as the professor flaunts his new confidence to mask
Professor had a
some of his
glow up.
vulnerability, we find ourselves returning to the words echoing in the room you think, but definitely each of you heard it.
You all heard that, right? It wasn't just me.
Yes, people are quoting the Bible again. Monty, did you?
Again?
Wait, how
Yeah.
often do people quote the Bible in your house?
Did
Remember
everybody
we-
hear the
the-
scales
In-
from the eyes part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew
Yes.
that thing. The description sounded familiar. That's the whole
Oh.
thing about Paul and Saul and that whatever.
Yes, Professor, you.
Simon has to stop the stream.
Why?
Well, stop the game, pause the game. I can't accept this revelation.
Why?
And I now know why I got through all my list. I'm already level 5.
No, because you gave one back
You gave one
last
back.
time. You kept yourself from level 5 last time.
That's true. So I only had 4.
Yeah.
I'm a
Mhm.
ninja.
Yeah, because you were still not matching Ekaterina. Ekaterina is the only one with a level 5 frame.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You would now have a level 5 frame.
Yep.
Yep, got it. My bad.
It's okay.
And the Contessa has 2 copies of the Bible in front of her, one in Latin and one in Greek, and she's flipping back and forth through the New Testament. And then she starts flipping faster and Paul. And she opens to the Acts of the Apostles and starts flipping through to find the section about the conversion of Paul And
Paul.
Saul becomes Paul.
Yeah.
They're the same person. Or they were the
Why
same
did they
person.
have to? Why did they have to change just the one letter? I don't understand it.
It's
a
because
Greek
of
thing.
all yeah.
Oh.
It's they tried to reboot the whole timeline after like the Jesus crossover event, and it just
Oh,
it
yes,
went all
yes.
yeah. So they just it's to please the new readers. That's
Oh, right, yes.
I mean, to be fair, they are different words and have different meaning, but sure, you do you.
It's very, very true.
But most importantly, there's one. So the New Testament, they're in the right order. Amor, Miyamichi.
Oui.
But there's one missing.
Which one?
And this one isn't a noun, it's an adjective.
Professor, who did you take these from?
Madam Chillums?
Oh, then I really don't care.
Are you sure you grabbed all of them?
There were 7 in a box. But that was not the most interesting thing that I found. Stumbled
Oh?
upon.
What did you find?
There was like a laboratory. Like some sort
Oh.
of chemistry set.
Description, please, tell me.
Yes. Like a sarcophagus. Kept
Alright.
cool
Hmm.
through the use of various fluids.
Interesting.
Chris,
Mhm.
did any of them smell like formaldehyde?
No.
Okay.
The various fluids, why? Was it an actual sarcophagus of the Egyptian kind? Or just the structure?
Oh no. It's it was more of a it's not an actual sarcophagus. It's like a box, if you will.
Okay,
A
okay.
rectangular box. Kept
We
on
have to be clear because apparently religion is a really big part of this puzzle.
Yeah, okay. It's just a big box.
A big box, clear liquids. Well, it could be something organic.
One of them had a greenish tinge to it.
Would I be able to play for this one? See if I would know what he's talking about. If it sounds like anything I would have studied or.
As much as I love the professor, he did not study it enough to bring you any details that you would be able to use to decipher what it is
That's
from
damn
a
it, Professor.
glass container, one clear, the other with
Yeah.
a greenish tinge.
Now,
However,
damn it, Professor, you go back and then tell me what's in there.
well, why don't I bring you there?
Oh, Professor. You really do know how to talk to a woman. Yes, I would love to go there, please. I want to know what this is. Right now. Well, not right now, because it's daylight.
Yes, no, we're going to wait after nightfall. Plus, I have my lecture in about 3 hours. I just randomly decided it was that time.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us in on your little double life. It's quite smart, really. Professor of criminology, who's a criminal.
I like to see myself more as an artist.
That's what I keep saying whenever things explode and people come at me and like, oh, you've ruined my house. It's smart.
But yes, I shed light on the failings of others. Either
Oh.
might be security, might be, a moral failing.
So you steal from who?
I steal from those that can go without for a prolonged period of time. I steal things that they do not need, and things that they often do not care about because they have so much.
And what do you do with them? Do you just keep them?
Resell them and give the money away.
Oh, we have our own little Robin Hood.
And then, steal them back again.
Huh.
Because who would buy the things? Who would buy 7 gladiuses?
You'd be surprised. I'm sure the Contessa would know many people who would.
Exactly, but these people have money. They have means.
Yes.
They are certainly not going to use them on any battlefield, as far as I know, so the purpose of these gladiuses is kind of moot. So they'll purchase them to display them in their mansions.
But these were not on display. These were storage. Why?
Oh, that's because most of what is in the good Lady Chillam's mansion are actually replicas.
To prevent what you just did.
Yeah, they think they're clever.
Ah, interesting.
And the most bizarre part of it all is that most of my marks, if you will, are delighted when I come. Oh, come on! 13 years old. I can see your reactions. No? Is that... No? Kenny's not repressing a smile?
I had to mute.
Never mind.
I'm sure there were many people, especially last night, who were very delighted that you came, Professor.
Well, I wouldn't say many people. There was only the Contessa.
And certainly not Miss Gillums.
I mean, haven't met the woman in person, but I don't get the impression that she would.
She's a tad paranoid.
Oh, GM, sorry. Did I get anything from that sigil with the 15?
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
I haven't forgotten about any of that. I will sprinkle all of this in as it necessitates.
Well, Professor, a secret for a secret. She'll just put down her sunglasses and give you a wink so you can see her eyes. And then put them back up. And it is, slitted eyes that are purple and blue. Well.
That... Interesting.
Quite. What are we gonna do about the gladii? Gladiuses? Swords.
Gladii.
Gladii. I was right the first time. There we go. Proud of myself.
The collisions should be a noun, but instead it's an adjective. All the others are nouns, but this is an adjective referring to the person from Colossae. The only person of note who is mentioned in the letters of Colossae is Epiphas. And there's no letter from the Ephesians, but there is a line in the Ephesians, and she's kind of like has the 2 books in front of her and flipping back and forth. But there is the line, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God.
I feel like the Contessa needs an old-timey murder board.
Yeah.
And like just start drawing like lines and yarn. Like
yeah.
It's like, no, I don't write any of this down. Writing things down is never let me put it out here for
paper trail.
you.
Ah.
Exactly. Do you know how many people? Well, a secret for a secret, signore. Do you know exactly how many people just leave their own correspondence of diplomatic or national importance laying around in their bedroom?
Oh, I
So
do not know. I've never. I don't go through people's mail. This is a federal crime.
I would
Well,
assume many,
initially-
Contessa.
Like our DM is looking this up. That was my first question. Is it though?
It's a felony,
also be-
is what I meant. It's a felony.
It's a felony.
I think it is a federal crime because it's a federal
Interference in the mail in the United States is a federal crime.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
are not
in
in
the
the
US
United
it is.
States. We are in
However,
Venice.
that is in modern day U.S. We don't know how far back that goes, and we don't know whether that goes to Venice.
Oh no, but
but-
I think even in Canada, where Edwin came from, probably Gutless Lawyer can let me know. But I know that interfering with the Royal Mail is a big no-no.
Oh, who cares?
Sir,
I like what the Contessa does. I like what you do.
Professor, are you claiming that you draw your line at mail?
No, it's just
But
it's
swords
really.
are fine.
You see, the circles I'm in, they don't tend to pay much for information. They pay more for artifacts.
You really should improve your circles.
Maybe I
Information
should.
can get you quite far.
But I am just a simple cat burglar, really.
I'm so glad I made these new friends.
Aren't you, Katerina? See, I told you we'd have
Yeah.
fun.
You know what? I'm having so much fun. I've forgotten a little bit about why I started, which was the fire and the buoy that we have yet to. But you know what? This is a glad with voices in my head. This is amazing. I haven't had this much fun in a long time.
Amor.
And Amor will drink their coffee.
Your lover, your amore. See?
Oui.
Did they have any skill with, the large glamour, illusions, making mass people hear lots of things at the same time without being seen?
This was
Yeah.
all across the veil. There are all sorts of things of wonder.
Oh, good,
But-
because I can only do very, very small little wonders. So I don't know. I was wondering.
I,
Petite mort.
I do not think that they would do something on this scale.
The only thing that I can think of with 7 swords is the Book of Revelations, and I do not want to be thinking about the Book of Revelations right now. So please help me
Or a
distract
tarot
them.
card.
I was gonna say tarot cards.
Tarot cards.
Well, we've got everything. Well, tarot cards. I don't know that I want the 7 of swords either.
Good.
And how do we know if they're invert? How do we know if it's upright or inverted?
When I found them, they were inverted. No, they were upright.
Oh.
They were facing down. The point was facing downward.
Point was. So that means they're upright.
Betrayal, deception, getting away with something, acting strategically.
Mm-hmm.
No, how apropos.
As they are
Indeed.
talking about swords, Jasser has been pondering plays. 7 swords. There is a what era would that be? A Jacobean play written by one George Chapman called The Tragedy of Bousset de Amboise. It's a violent play. There's a scene there where there's a triple duel, all to impress a noble. In the scene, there are 7 swords. Vying for power of sorts. I don't know. Fire underwater.
It seems that there is a lot more here. these swords. It is like this play, the story Bussy d'Amboise. And it is very dire.
Oh.
One of the
Not-
reasons that it came to mind for you, for Josser, is all this talk of Paul. There is a group. There was a troupe of boy actors called the Children of Paul's, who are affiliated with St. Paul's Cathedral, and they performed this play as one of their main repertoire. That, along with a couple others, but this seemed connected.
The Children of Paul's performed this play. It was very gruesome. Lots of death. The swords were all against each other.
Hmm.
What
So,
was the play called again?
Tragedy of Bussy d'Amboise.
I don't think I have a copy of that in the library. Well, I might. I don't know.
I'm wondering though
But I don't
how.
think so.
Sorry. I was wondering how connected these swords would be to our whole Smith situation.
Oh yeah,
Well,
that was my question as well. Whether the swords had anything to do with the other mystery that we're trying
I believe
Track
we
down.
might be facing two different mysteries.
It all seems to be colliding, though. The swords, the fighting, it's like a forge, a furnace. It's a clash.
And we know that the riddle for the blacksmith we are looking for the master smith, right? That they have something has to do with the church.
And we know
And-
this key opens a buoy. That's all I've
And-
got, really.
Yeah, that key opens a buoy which is underwater, which doesn't seem very effective for the buoy. And all of these swords are religious. But I wonder, hold on a moment. And she will actually, for the first time, touch each of the blades.
Bare skin or with a glove on?
Well, she starts with a glove on her hand. And if she can touch it with the glove, then she'll take the glove off.
It seems relatively okay with the glove on.
Okay.
You
then
don't know
she'll,
if it's your own nerves or what,
Yeah.
but it seems
she'll
okay.
she'll very carefully take the glove off and like kind of do one of these from a distance where she's like holding her body back as far as she can as she puts her finger
to.
like barely onto one of them first.
Unlike other instances that the Contessa ran into, like with the key, nothing happens as you approach. But when you do make contact, you feel queasy.
Oh, excuse me.
Aaron?
Does somebody have
Okay.
water? Oh,
Here,
Water.
here's some
I
water.
give her water.
Yeah.
Katerina, have you tried to lick the swords yet?
No, that's a great idea.
Is it though?
Yes,
I
I'll lick
would
the
suggest
sword.
not.
Too late. I'm already doing it.
It's very cold. Like
Cold
very
iron.
cold when you touch it. If you are not quick, you actually think that your tongue would stick to it, like
Oh.
like metal in winter.
Oh. Do I get the feeling it's cold iron?
It does not taste exactly like cold iron.
But it kind of tastes like cold iron.
Well, some of your taste buds you think got frostbite.
I think some of my taste buds got frostbite. This might be a magical sort of effect on it.
And that's kind of the point where your brain starts to put bits and pieces together. There is
Wait!
something about that sigil that is throughout all of them. It is a sigil of frost, but not just frost. It is a different word for it in the arcane, an old word, a word that goes back millennia, one that doesn't really have a modern tongue for it. It's more of a guttural sound, one that you have heard before, maybe when you were younger,
Oh.
maybe when you were still in need of elders to guide you. A deep frost within the core of the world, one that is known to bring about the finality of others.
Fuck.
Did you cut
What?
yourself?
No, I didn't. This is it's a rune for frost, but not just any rune. It's an ancient rune. It's not modern. It goes back millennia, and it's would you say like the it's draconic in a way, like it's or what? What is the language that I know?
The dragons would actually, they would have a word for it that you would know, but no one here would know it. It's not something that the human mouth can pronounce very well, including in your current form. It would be difficult to pronounce, but it is something that also goes back to other creatures that would be of the same time period.
Can you tell me what these creatures are?
No, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It would be anything
Okay.
of that time period.
Yeah.
So,
I
like,
can't pronounce it in this form, but it is an ancient rune of frost. It's something deep and cold inside the earth that means finality. It's going. This is old.
Like the tradition that the ninth circle of hell is not hot but frozen, and that Lucifer is trapped in ice for eternity.
Maybe this is something from millennia ago. The creatures that
how
Many
yeah,
questions.
how someone got their hands on this sigil, because it doesn't match the time period of the rest. The rest are all much more modern sigils. This is the only one that is that ancient, and it is the only one that is on all 7.
this sigil doesn't go with the other ones. I don't know how anybody would have gotten their hands on this sigil. This is quite concerning.
Is this something perhaps that we would need to take to Rolst when we find them? Her?
It is very possible.
Possibly. They I don't know if they might know, but maybe it's we have a word for it. I can't pronounce it like this, but it's guttural and it's this shouldn't be here. It does not match the time period of anything on the sword.
Could it have been added after the fact?
No.
Even your tinkering, or Edwin's tinkering would be enough to be able to tell that all of these, everything that's etched on these blades was etched at the same time, with the same like
Process tools.
process, tools, all of that. Everything is identical, except in its like where they come from. So you have Latin words, you have arcane sigils, one of which is much older than the rest. If you investigated the others, they may come from different time periods. They may come from different, I guess, approaches or lodges, orders maybe. But it is something that is not, it wouldn't be that it was added at a different point.
Whoever made these knew what they were doing. You'd have to figure out who made this, when they made it,
Mm-hmm.
and why.
And
Why does Miss Shillum have them just sitting in a case?
perhaps if we find our blacksmith, she'll be able to tell us.
Perhaps.
Simon,
Hmm?
everybody else applied a skill. What skill is Edwin using on this puzzle?
That's a very good question. I think going back through his mind,
Mm-hmm.
because he did get like a few information about like who the Fontana were,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened. I'm not gonna say their family history, but like some of the outstanding facts. And I think he would try to think about, like, maybe he skipped a detail. Like, maybe when he was casing the Chillums, something that would have been mundane ends up, now that we know a bit more about these swords and everything, like, could it be that something else reminiscent of the symbols on it?
Sure.
Or the evident connection to Bible verses could be a thing. Like maybe there was a verse carved, or just the like when it says like Luke 5:20 or whatever, on like a cornerstone of their mansion or what have you. But I don't know which skill would go with like memory.
History?
I mean, it's definitely a mental skill, but part of me wants to think education, but that should not necessarily.
Because like mesmerism, to try to go deeper in his memories and
potentially that would be hearts. Yeah, I could see that, but it would be, I guess so. I mean, you're kind of like a meditation sort of trance that you're self-induced kind of thing. So that'd be hearts instead.
yeah. I'm only average with it, but I can certainly do hearts. Yeah, and I'll play my Deuces Wild on it as well.
Okay.
So
that's 15 plus 2, 17.
Yeah.
As you kind of like let the world around you fade out as they're talking, and you keep hearing about deep and dark frost or finality, things fade. And your mind focuses on memory rather than what is around you in that moment. And you find little shards of puzzle pieces start to coalesce, and flashes of memories as you're scouring when you cased and researched this home. Chillums, her maiden name. Fontana, her married name, which she eschewed. You find their estate that she's in is one that they purchased together. It's not related to the family. And you start looking around for things that are related to the Fontanas to see if she kept any, which you were pretty sure she didn't. But by doing so, you start looking for family marks, crests, seals. And you'll start to remember a pattern of seals that you saw creeping up from place to place. There weren't a ton of them, but there were a few of them. And it starts to make a connection. The first one that you remember is actually on a necklace that she continues to wear around her neck. It's usually too long and tucked inside her dress, but in some situations, you'll find that she wears it untucked and on display. And it has a circular black stone, polished. You're not sure if it's actually precious stone. It could be onyx. It could also be just black glass. But you remember that it is actually engraved, and etched upon it, there's sort of a globe motif that when the light catches it just right, you can see it. It's encircled in gold on a gold chain. Didn't really pay close attention before because it didn't look as though it was valuable or even a knockoff of anything. You will have remembered there was a cigar box in the library. It didn't have anything in it any longer. All of the cigars were gone. It was being used for, I don't know, cast off envelopes. And you remember that inside there was one envelope kind of sticking up and awkwardly, and there's a broken seal on it. And half of that seal was very similar to the etching on that pendant. And the next flash you get is of a letter that was sent to you with that same seal. A letter that you received a couple weeks prior to coming to Venice, but after being invited. There hadn't been a formal announcement yet, but you knew you had committed, and this letter showed up. And it was sealed with the same seal.
And that was not the letter from Lombardy.
No, that was not the letter from Lombardy. It was the other letter that you received. The one that you declined. And you're pretty sure that when you closed that case and drug your hand along the front to make sure it had closed completely, but quietly, that you had rubbed a bit of the frost off of the handles. Each one similar in style, like the round cabinet pulls that are not actual handles, they're just pulls, circular pulls, with that exact same etching on it in black steel. And the name Moriarty comes to mind. Do you remember what he proposed to you in that letter you declined?
That was the invitation to join them, wasn't it?
It was. A fledgling upstart group with big plans.
And that same seal on the envelope was
on the cabinet.
on the cabinet, on the envelope in the cigar box, but also on the necklace, right?
That she wore around her neck at all times, though she did not always display the pendant. Because sometimes she would tuck the pendant inside her dress.
Friends, I believe we're dealing with the World Crime League.
Really? Again?
What do you mean
What,
again?
with the swords or with everything?
Perhaps everything. I
Well,
know
the
they
other
had
one
a-
is the whatchamacallit? The ones against them, no?
The Promethean
The
Society.
Promethean Society.
Yes. I believe both these organizations might have a vested interest in what's happening in Venice.
Well, the Promethean Society apparently wants me.
And a gentleman by the name of Moriarty tried to recruit me for the World Crime League.
Professor, we're on opposite ends. Oh no.
Fear not. I refused. I could
So
not.
Oh, I don't fear. No, no way.
both of these groups are pulling strings in Venice, and we're somehow in the middle of that.
Or they are both looking for something, and we either have to stop them both from getting their hands on whatever it is they're looking for, or
Might it be these?
My guess would have been it might have been something on the buoy.
Well, I think we should still find that buoy, because if it's just as important as this, whoever knows this rune is dangerous. Is powerful, at least.
Professor, is the World Crime League ultimately who these seven swords have come from?
I am unsure of that. What I can tell you, however, is that now that I think of it, the symbol for the World Crime League, stupid name.
It really is.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why I denied their request.
Fair enough.
I mean, you don't broadcast to anyone. You're a criminal. That just goes against the whole... Anyway.
What's the point?
Madame Chillums owns a necklace with that same symbol on it. The symbol that was on the envelope sent to me by one Moriarty. Same symbols that were on the pull of the cabinet where these swords were.
She's part of the World Crime Organization, League, whatever the fuck they're called.
And we have their swords, which they might or might not care about.
Professor, you stole from the World Crime League. That's amazing. Congratulations.
I would love to say that I did it on purpose.
That's some Robin Hood stuff, sir.
Yeah.
Are you sure you were not followed?
I was fairly
yeah.
certain nobody saw me going in and
Fairly
out.
certain or like 100%? Because if not, we're fucked.
Well, there was the voice.
I believe we're that anyway.
I mean, if you want to be.
Just not on the dining room table. It's not really supportive enough for it.
Monty, can we get some wine, please?
As
Yes,
Morty
Monty,
goes-
we're
wine.
definitely into wine time.
It is 11 a.m. It's time to drink.
It's
The
5 o'clock
Contessa.
somewhere.
It's
you
10:30.
find, the Contessa, you find that all of this talk has actually brought you to certain conclusions. The reference to Colossae is not to Ephesians or Colossians, but to Philemon or Philemon,
Philemon.
a noble of the city of Colossae.
The only
It
other person
also-
that's referenced in that book.
Mhm. And one that was called to do something similar to Paul.
As the Contessa looks it up. How
You-
As
fucked are
she
we?
literally goes. How? I mean, it really depends. It could be worse. It could definitely be better. I mean, it's not the Iron Master unless he started hanging out with them. I mean, just said, you will agree with me that the Iron Master is slightly. Although,
different. It's all very different. Unless there is
Oh.
another change thing around here.
but you weren't with. You didn't have Munich. I met the most charming captain, Josiah.
Oh,
Pilot. He pissed off the World Crime League.
Is he dead?
No.
Oh.
No, that was
Okay.
the captain that I was hanging out with in Munich.
Oh.
The one with the uniform
Oh.
and the ears.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. I remember.
Yes. He was a lot of fun, but his biggest problem was that he couldn't tell when someone was trying to kill him.
That's a very specific problem to have. I
Mhm.
feel like if you
He
have
also-
a gun pointed at you, you'd probably know.
Oh no! He couldn't tell when a woman was trying to kill him.
Oh. Well, that's to your advantage then.
I mean, it wasn't me at the time; it was some other woman, and then there was an animated corpse involved, and
Interesting.
yes, it was very interesting. It was a lot of fun, and then but apparently the World Crime League and the Iron Master had been doing some business and manipulating politics to help the Prussians, because that's what we all want in life, right? Helping the Prussians.
No. Oh dear.
Really, I mean, if you're going to pretend to be like some big old, where the hell is it? And which order is it? Did I miss it?
You don't have to look it up.
Okay, but she's actively looking it up to try
That's
and say
fine.
that.
And she will realize that Philemon, being of wealth, housed a church in his home. Very
Like everyone
similar
did.
to the, how did you put it? The, something of guests
Hospitality and guest
Hospitality.
rights.
and guest rights.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Chapels and homes, guest rights, all these fun things coming in circles together.
Starting to sound like a little bit of a cult.
It's a Catholic church.
A cult by any other name.
I mean, I do not deny that my faith, which is a little complicated, and we have the whole question of, some people keep saying that I don't have a soul, but I have to have a soul. I'm thinking I have a soul.
I think you have a soul, dear. Have I met souls?
It got very complicated. People were saying that if you were of certain genetic predispositions, you weren't having souls.
But what really is a soul if we think about it,
And that's what I told him. That's that's what I said. I'm going to go on the theory of that.
I
And,
think you're a
so-
very soulful lady.
I try.
Very soulful.
But
I'm
Just,
joking, Chloe. I was trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
The other thing that you would recognize is that these 7 are the 7 whose authorship is considered
questionable.
No. The
To
opposite.
not be Paul's.
These are considered the most genuine.
Oh, right. Sorry, you got rid of collegiate. So we're most likely dealing with Paul. Why are all these things so complicated?
The Paul who was Saul.
The Paul who was Saul. Just
Is
there.
he not dead?
What is the 6th book of the Bible?
In which testament, sir?
New Testament.
I'll say Paul as a guess.
Nope.
Nah,
Saul.
it is not. It is the first letter to the Romans.
Who is written by
Paul.
Paul.
Yes!
If you keep saying it's going to be the right answer to something.
It is the letter from Paul to the Romans. Just there. And she'll kind of like reach over and put her hand on yours and go, I may have made a small error in judgment.
I think she's talking about you, Professor.
No, God, no. That was not an error in judgment. That was fun.
How can we help?
Does somebody want to see if certain people are in this city? Because I may have upset. Like there are certain people in the Vatican who really, really like me. They really like me. They think I'm one of the greatest people, and they know I do favors for them. And remember how I said that I found that wonderful captain, and he was a lot of fun?
Yes.
Oui.
He doesn't like you?
Oh no, the captain liked me very much. I had to give him
This,
back to the Foreign Legion, though. I did promise his colonel that I would return him in exactly the condition I borrowed him in.
What were you doing while you
Sure,
were
you
with
returned
the
him
captain?
better than how you found him.
That's true. I may have possibly upset a small viceroy. Just a small one.
A minor viceroy.
Yeah, of the Swiss Guard.
Of where?
Of the Swiss Guard?
The Swiss guy.
Swiss Guard.
Have we seen any interesting costumes?
Those are
The Swiss
not
Guard has not made rounds through Venice.
Okay,
in
that's
your
good.
city.
So why is this an issue though? I mean,
And-
overall.
Though there are always a few that are posted at St. Mark's Basilica, though, because there are relics there, but not the roaming
army.
In these cases, I would turn to you normally, but
In this particular case, he was being very rude, and he was chasing people off of a train. He was trying not to tell me what to do.
You should never tell one what not to do.
Really, and he honestly thought he could stand on the on this train platform and tell me that I had to obey him, and that he outranked me.
Oh.
Well, I'll say he got what was coming to him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was I tried to be perfectly polite, and they may have pissed him off, but his own fault. But all of this has to do with relics of the church. And the last time we may have run into the World Crime League, they were looking to appropriate relics of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And they also used a very particular means of breaking into a safe. Of a sort of phosphorus-like material, but I don't know chemistry very well, but I do know that it burned very, very hot, very, very quickly, and took an entire steel door off its hinges.
Interesting.
About
Oh,
3
wow.
inches thick.
Hmm.
And we're looking for, so
Fire
that
underwater.
thing. Just, little things that are running through my head.
I think we need to find this buoy quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have the artifact?
Well, no, I was arranging a quiet delivery between the Vatican and King Ludwig, right?
Of Bayern. Yes.
Of Bayern. It was a very nice time. I had a very pleasant time. I got to meet the king, his cousin. There were parties. That was what. Remember when we met at that party, Katerina, at the lady's house, and there was the champagne tower that kind of collapsed because the person who was attempting to pour the champagne didn't know what they were doing, and
But it was quite hilarious. Not going to lie. I
was,
felt
but
bad for them, but it's.
I
Yeah.
didn't feel that bad because
Remember
the
they did
champagne
that?
really
What's
wasn't
her
good.
name? With the other lady with the pantsuit.
Isolina. Shoot.
Isolina, yeah.
That's the Isolina and her what? Just Sarah, you missed the wedding. Isolina married her wife.
That's adorable.
That is sad.
Esme.
I would have liked to have been there.
It was on the train. There were hedgehogs. Just saying.
Aw.
There were hedgehogs. There were rodents.
Oh, a wedding on a train with hedgehogs sounds perfect.
There were hedgehogs that just kind of fell across the train, and there was screaming, and there were rodents. They are rodents.
Hedgehogs from another dimension.
Oh.
Well, we're no longer there, Contessa. We're here.
Yes,
Come back
yes.
to us.
I do have a question. You mentioned chapels within the house. So does this
Yes.
mean we need to figure out whose house?
Is there St. Paul's Cathedral here?
The St. Paul's Cathedral is.
Not cathedral, no. But there
No, but
is a
there's-
Church of St. Paul in Venice.
There is a church, not a cathedral. And if we were going to say a church within a house, I can think of two places I would look for one right away. One,
Doge?
the Doge's Palace. And number two, your dear friend Miss Chillum's late husband's family, the Fontanas. I guarantee you there's a church or at least a chapel inside their estate.
If this is like a story, I would say it is option number 2.
So to be thorough, we would have to attempt to visit all three.
Well, I think that the very nice key that gives me nausea that Ekaterina has is I would check with the St. Paul's Church first.
Mm-hmm.
How
And then
much would she have paid attention to the different places of worship? Because there are quite a many here.
the Contessa,
Yes.
she probably would. Remembering, of course, that in Italy there are two types. You would go to church for two reasons: one, to practice, and two, to be seen and be. It's a socializing thing. You would go to see and be seen. And if you didn't attend, why weren't you attending? Where aren't you going? Who's go? Which church do you attend? Why do you attend that one?
St. Paul's here is known for its plays and operas. It also had its facade redone, kind of desecrated in one way, and it looks very plain on the outside now, at least at the front. And one might call it more of a house than a cathedral anymore.
And
So
could it be that this wasn't the teatro where we went? Like it's not.
No.
It's not in the same
No,
place.
no.
Okay.
But it is close to the university. And it is not. Well, I would say that it is a little bit closer to a villa. And it's been there since a very long time. One of the oldest churches in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Perhaps where we might start our search today.
Chiesa di San Polo,
let's see.
dedicated to the Apostle Paul.
I'm not dressed to go to church.
Pourquoi ça?
Neither am I, dear.
Oh, well, we're getting dressed to go to church. I'm sure we can find you something to wear to church.
Do I have to wear a skirt?
No, just make sure your knees and your shoulders are covered, and your ankles.
My pants sometimes rise up. I can't control that.
Wear boots.
Taller boots.
Are
Yes.
my wrists all right to show?
San Polo and San Marco could be considered two of the pillars of what is Venice today, dating
Yes.
back to prior to the 9th century.
It is one of the oldest churches in Venezia.
And it also has renowned Stations of the Cross by an artist by the name of Gian Domenico Tiepolo. I
Which
butchered that name.
John Domenico
Mm-hmm.
Tiepolo. And
There
he
you go.
is the son, I knew it. He's the son of Giovanni Battista Tiepolo.
Ah,
They do very large
John the
paintings. John
But
the
also, he was
Battista.
named after whom? Mm-hmm.
Let's see. John the Baptist.
Who you made a connection
Mhm.
to earlier.
And his Stations of the Cross are quite impressive.
sounds like we need to get dressed for church.
One of the canvases inside the interior is called St. Peter and the Keys.
For the founding of the church.
And with that revelation, we are going to end episode 7.
So we
Thank
are
you all
going
for
to go to
coming.
church at some point. Sorry.
That's what it sounds like. Somebody better start playing Take Me to Church.
It's in my head already.
Yep.
Take me.
Wait, I need to break out of the accent. Hold on. Okay.
That's a really weird rendition with that accent. So yeah, you definitely don't want that stuck in your head that way.
No.
But yes. So,
Just a quick question. Was there anything from Melissa's etchings, or is that just something she puts away?
you collected the etchings, but I will leave it to you as to whether or not you want to interpret that hallucination that happened as being connected to it.
Gales fell out of his ass.
Yeah. Wait, the hallucination of her brother being connected to the etchings?
No, the auditory hallucination.
Oh, that
everybody
one.
had
Yes.
As soon as you started making rubbings of the sigils,
Okay.
that is what seemed to have triggered it.
Okay. Let me write that down for next time.
Mm-hmm. It's a great question because the sigil that you actually were running across at the time, making a copy of, was the sigil of a ward or lock.
Okay. Well, I'm writing this down for next time. We'll have to talk about it at the top of the game.
Mhm. Thank you for reminding me, as I did not circle back to what it was that triggered that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Alrighty then.
Well, that. Do we have other questions for Chris? Just in case? Because I feel like there was a lot
There's
of stuff
so
to go
much.
on.
There's a lot of lore drop.
You got a lot of different pieces that all started to make sense
Yes.
because you've been collecting a lot over 6 episodes.
Also,
Through 6 episodes.
Also-
It's crazy.
This is the 7th episode we just completed.
we made it to day 3.
Oh.
We made it to day 3.
Yes, for those of you playing at home, our first 2 seasons made it a total of 48 hours-ish each before we finished the season. We are now almost halfway through day 3, which feels weird. I'm not sure what to do with myself.
I think that means that the next season of Falkenstein needs to happen within like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like
It was all a dream sequence.
Yeah.
You guys will all wake up and, you know.
No, Chris is too fabulous. He would not pull a Dallas.
I absolutely hate
Oh,
dream sequence
no.
plots.
God.
See?
I would only do that to people that I really wanted to mess with.
Doesn't have to be a dream sequence.
And
It
then
can
never
be Fey
talk to you again.
magic. Just make
Oh,
it
no,
Fey
no.
magic. Every minute is an episode.
I already kind of did that with a flashback with the Contessa in season 1. So
Oh.
I'll try not to do too many reruns. But again, thank you to our wonderful, wonderful audience. All of your participation. I might pull a new heart, Godless Lawyer. That is true. I might pull a new heart. Not promising anything, though. And take it away, Simon.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for all the raid. Hi Raiders. Hi Wily Hobbit. Thank you to all of you who followed, sub, donated. Without you, we wouldn't have all of these revelations, and without all of your donations and subs, that's how we managed to get like the stuff that I need to keep streaming, such as a new ring light, because mine is dead now after like 4 months.
Oh,
So
bummer.
yeah,
Ooh,
that
that
was
sucks.
unexpected. But hey, it's gonna go in towards that. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Magen Press, Found Familiar. Thank you to Roll20. Thank you to our partners, Level Up Dice. Thank you, of course, a big thank you to Artel Saurian Games for sponsoring this show. And thank you to all of you players and hosts for coming to play once again this Monday evening. Could you please let us know where you are on the internet, if you have anything that you would like to plug, any news for our viewers. I leave the mic up to you. We'll do the same order as we did the intros. We'll begin with Adriana.
Hi everyone, my name's Adriana. I wasn't muted, so I could do this quickly. You can find me on Twitter at AlysaVamp with 2 P's, where I post things from D&D to art to how I feel currently. But you can also find me on several shows on the internet, like Plot Hunters, which is an all POC, all LGBTQ plus D&D show that we do Saturday nights at 8 o'clock EST, 8 p.m. You can also find me here Mondays with these wonderful people who I appreciate and love very, very much. And throughout the week, you can find me Thursdays over at Indoor Adventures channel playing a homebrew version of Acquisitions Incorporated. And as well, every other Saturday, you can find me on Valorant's channel playing Dragon Age, which is just a dating sim with some battles in it. Yeah. And also, you can find me on Twitch because I do art streams now. If you want to come chill and hang out while I draw and do commissions and draw personal projects, come check me out. Once or twice a week, I go on Twitch. We put some cool lo-fi hip hop beats, but not the actual ones, one that's copyright free, and just talk like about what my favorite dipping sauce or chicken tenders are. It's ranch. That's me.
Kenny, where can we find you?
Hi, thanks. You can find me on Twitter at PunderDrone. When I'm not playing here with these amazing, fabulous folks, you can find me on the Experience Points channel. Follow us on Twitter at EQ Points. Every other Saturday, we play a Starfinder game where I am the narrator. And we're playing in the Dawn of Flame Adventure Path. Currently, we're in Book 2, Soldiers of Brass, so come along and join us on that. And then every other Sunday, we play a Numenera game that is narrated by my spouse, Kelric. You can find him on Twitter at Cormelon.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Kenny, for coming. Pooja.
Hi, I'm Pooja. You can find me at Pooja on Twitter and at Poojaberwaki on Instagram. And I'm here on Mondays with this fabulous crew. And then on Tuesdays, you can find me on Flights of Fandom on Manapot Studios Twitch channel, where we are going through a Star Wars game set in the Scum and Villainy game system. And then every other Friday, I'm also on the Manapot Studios channel playing Constantinople at Night, a Vampire the Masquerade 5e game. And so that's it for me for now, but watch this space. I'm sure there'll be more coming up.
Thank you for coming. Chris, where can we find you?
Well, every Monday night you can find me here as the host of Adventures in Castle Falkenstein. Fridays you can find me back here for Cyberpunk Red, as I reprise my role as Mr. White, aka Dr. Frost, who might actually have a date that we may or may not see happen on screen with another doctor. So that'll be interesting. But this Friday, we're going to be kicking in the door of an old abandoned firehouse to have a quick chat with the next player's character. And I will pass that off to Deirdre.
What? It's not like it's Trin's fault that her ex-boyfriend may or may not be boosting cars and having complicated issues, who may or may not have arranged the kidnapping of her brother. Trins has a complicated issues. But hey y'all, you know me. I'm at Deirdre Lemon on Twitter, or Plexigorth as Meaphoria. You see me around on Twitch. And as you can find me over on Laugh Love Lindy's channel on Wednesday, as we are back with some wonderful Witcher family of wraiths, and there's a banshee, and there are hordes of undead, and there's a really complicated love triangle between Scoia'tael, band leader, a elven healer, and a bear witcher that my sorceress is just sitting back watching going, not my drama. Then you can find me back here on Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. And Saturday, we are back with Black Flag, as I run the show for some Black Flag, which is our pirate game, Rapscallion, and which last season was pirate shenanigans. This season is Consequences, the campaign. Also, when the entire party has to try and deal with their own stuff and may or may not be plotting against each other, because Consequences, the campaign.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Chris, as well. We will see you on Thursday for Thirsty Thursdays for all the drama. And then Friday for Cyberpunk, Saturday for Black Flag. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye. Wavy.